Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Daily.
Hi, everyone. We are very happy to see you here today.
Hey, English learners! Welcome back to Speak English Daily, your cozy place to learn real, natural English through everyday conversations.
And we're really glad you're here with us today. Life can get noisy, right? Messages, deadlines, people asking for things, your phone lighting up every 5 minutes.
Exactly. But right now, you're here. So take a second, settle in, and let's just talk.
Today's episode is all about something simple but surprisingly difficult to do well, talking about your day.
And before you think, I already know this, just stay with us for a moment, because most learners can talk about their day, but they don't sound natural when they do it.
Right. They say things like, I woke up, I worked, I ate, I slept.
Which is correct, but it feels flat. There's no life in it.
And real English is not just about what happened, it's about how you felt, what stood out, and how you experienced it.
That's the key. You're not giving a report, you're sharing a moment.
So today, we'll show you how to turn a simple answer like, my day was fine, into something that actually sounds real, expressive, and human.
Something that makes the other person want to keep listening.
And the good news is, you don't need complicated grammar for that.
Not at all. You just need the right phrases, a few honest details, and a natural rhythm when you speak.
This episode is around a B2 to early C1 level, so the English will be a bit richer.
But don't worry, we'll keep everything clear, slow, and easy to follow.
And stay with us till the end, because we've got 2 really useful parts coming later.
Yes, first, we'll give you some simple conversation starters, because sometimes the problem is not your English.
It's just that you don't know how to begin.
Exactly. Someone asks, how was your day? And your brain just goes blank.
And suddenly, the only word you can find is fine.
Poor fine. It works too hard.
It really does. So we'll give you better ways to start your answer. Simple ones you can use immediately.
And then we'll have our word tour, where we slow things down and look at the most useful phrases from today's conversation.
So first, just listen and enjoy the story. Don't worry about remembering everything.
Then later, we'll help you collect the language and make it yours.
All right, since we're talking about real life, let's begin with a simple question.
Go ahead.
Anna, how was your day?
My day? It was okay.
Just okay? After that whole introduction, that's what you give me?
I know. It sounds small, but there's more behind it.
There's always something hiding behind okay. What happened?
Nothing dramatic, but my morning started in a way that quietly ruined my mood.
That sounds very real. Those small moments can do a lot.
True, and honestly, it didn't even start in the morning. It began the night before.
Oh, so we're going back in time. I like this already.
I went to bed at a normal time. Lights off, phone away, everything done right.
A responsible evening. Impressive.
That's what I thought. But the moment I laid down, my brain suddenly became very active.
Of course it did. That's when it chooses to wake up.
It was like my mind said, now is the perfect time to think about everything.
All the small things, all the big things, all at once.
Yes, random memories, things I said 3 days ago, things I need to do tomorrow.
And none of it feels urgent during the day, but at night it becomes very important.
So I just lay there, tossing and turning for what felt like forever.
That phrase is so useful. Tossing and turning means you can't get comfortable. You keep moving in bed.
Left side, right side, blanket on, blanket off. Then I check the time.
That's always a mistake.
Always, because then you realize you're not sleeping and that makes it worse.
And suddenly it feels like time is moving too fast.
Yes, and then I tried to force myself to sleep, which never works.
Sleep does not like pressure.
Not at all. The more I told myself, you need to sleep now, the more awake I felt.
It's like your brain refuses to cooperate.
So by the time morning came, I wasn't refreshed. I was just awake.
That's a big difference.
My eyes opened, but the rest of me was still somewhere under the blanket.
I know that feeling. Your body's up, but your energy is still asleep.
Then my alarm went off. I turned it off, closed my eyes for just a second.
Let me guess.
I almost dozed off again.
That dangerous moment.
Very dangerous. That 1 second could easily turn into 20 minutes.
And then your whole day starts with stress.
Right. So I forced myself to get up, but I already felt off.
Off how?
A bit tense, a bit sensitive, like everything was slightly too much.
So you were on edge.
Yes, that's the perfect phrase, on edge.
That means you're not relaxed even if nothing bad has happened yet.
My phone sounded louder than usual, the light felt too bright, even small things annoyed me.
Those are the signs.
I even felt like my coffee was taking too long.
That's serious. Coffee should never feel slow.
I know, and logically nothing was wrong, but inside I just felt unsettled.
That's what lack of sleep does. It changes how everything feels.
And it's interesting because if I just said my morning was bad, it wouldn't explain any of this.
Right, but when you describe the night, the tossing and turning, almost dozing off and waking up on edge, now it feels real.
It becomes a story instead of a label.
And that's what natural speakers do. They don't just give the result, they show the experience.
So a more natural way to say it would be something like, to be honest, my morning started rough. I couldn't sleep, kept tossing and turning, and I woke up feeling on edge.
That sounds like real English. Clear, simple, but full of meaning.
What about you? Do you have peaceful mornings, or is there some chaos there too?
It depends on the day. Some mornings are calm, but others feel rushed before they even begin.
That's interesting.
Sometimes I wake up and my brain is already busy. I haven't even moved, but I'm thinking about everything I need to do.
So the day starts in your head before your body joins.
Yes, and if I'm not careful, I carry that feeling into the whole morning.
Do you do anything to stop that?
I try to pause for a few seconds before getting out of bed. Just breathe. No noise, no phone.
A small reset.
It helps a bit. Not perfect, but enough to slow things down.
That's a good reminder. A morning doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs a softer start.
And that alone can change how the rest of the day feels.
It really can. And then you step into work, and suddenly the day picks up speed.
That's where things get interesting, because this is where most people just say, I was busy.
Which is true, but also very vague.
Right. Busy can mean a lot of things. It could be manageable, or it could feel like everything is happening at once.
That's where a stronger word helps. Some mornings aren't just busy, they feel completely swamped.
Swamped is the perfect word for that feeling.
It gives the idea that tasks are coming from every direction, and you don't have space to think.
Messages, emails, people asking questions, meetings popping up.
And all of them feel urgent.
Even when they're not.
That's the tricky part. Everything seems important, so your attention gets pulled in 10 different directions.
I had a morning like that recently. I sat down, opened my laptop, and within 5 minutes I had 3 new messages.
That's already too many.
Then an email came in marked urgent.
Of course it did.
And then someone asked if I had just a quick minute.
That quick minute is never quick.
Never. And suddenly I wasn't doing my actual work. I was just reacting to everything around me.
That's such a common situation. You feel active, but you're not really moving forward.
Yes, it feels like progress, but at the end of the hour, nothing important is done.
That's when the day starts to feel heavy.
And a bit frustrating.
So what did you do?
At first, I tried to answer everything. I thought, if I clear all this, I'll feel better.
That sounds logical.
But it didn't work. More things kept coming in.
So it became endless.
Exactly. That's when I realized I had to stop and change my approach.
What did you change?
I picked one task, Just one.
That's a strong move.
I closed my email, muted notifications, and told myself, focus on this.
That's the moment you knuckle down.
Yes, that's the phrase. Knuckle down means you stop getting distracted and start working seriously.
It's like making a decision with yourself.
Right, you're saying, this matters, I'm gonna give it my full attention.
And how did that feel?
At first, a bit uncomfortable because I knew other things were waiting.
That pressure doesn't disappear immediately.
No, but after a few minutes, I started to feel more in control.
That's the shift.
The work started moving forward instead of sideways.
And that changes your whole mood.
It really does. The day was still busy, but it didn't feel chaotic anymore.
That's an important difference. Busy can be fine. Swamped feels overwhelming.
And when you knuckle down, you turn that overwhelming feeling into something manageable.
It's interesting how one small decision can change the direction of your day.
Very true.
Did you manage to finish that task?
I did, and once it was done, everything else felt easier.
That's the reward.
Yes, and even though the morning was intense, I could later say something more meaningful than just saying I was busy.
What would you say instead?
Something like, I was pretty swamped in the morning, but I knuckled down and got through the most important task. That sounds natural and complete. It shows pressure, action, and result.
And it's still simple.
That's the best part. You don't need complicated language to sound natural.
Just the right words in the right moment.
And a bit of honesty about how the day actually felt.
And that honesty becomes even more important later in the day, especially in the afternoon.
Ah, yes, the part of the day where energy quietly disappears.
For me, it usually happens after lunch. I call it the post-lunch fog.
That name fits perfectly. It really does feel like a fog.
You're sitting there, looking at your screen, but your brain is moving slower than usual.
Slower, heavier, like everything takes more effort.
Exactly. Sometimes I read the same sentence 3 times and still don't understand it.
That's a clear sign.
And it's not that I want to sleep every time, it's more like my focus becomes weak.
That's an interesting difference.
Yes, because some days it's physical tiredness. Your eyes feel heavy and you might doze off if you're not careful. That moment when your head drops slightly and you quickly wake up again. Yes, that one. And other days, it's not about sleep at all. It's more like your mind is full. That's exactly how I feel sometimes. Not sleepy, just mentally crowded. Like too many thoughts are sitting in your head at the same time.
Messages from the morning, unfinished tasks, small decisions, everything is still there.
And your brain hasn't had time to process any of it.
So instead of feeling rested after lunch, you feel slower and a bit stuck.
That's a tough place to be.
It is, and if I ignore that feeling, it usually gets worse.
What happens then?
I push myself to continue working, but my focus drops even more.
So you're working, but not effectively.
Yes, and that can be frustrating because you're trying, but nothing feels clear.
I've had those days. I keep switching between tasks, hoping something will click.
And nothing really does.
Exactly. That's when I realize I probably need to step away for a bit.
That's where the idea of a much-needed break comes in.
I like that phrase. It feels very honest.
It shows that the break isn't just something you want, it's something your mind actually needs.
And it doesn't have to be long.
Not at all. Even 5 minutes can help.
What do you usually do during that kind of break?
I try to do something simple and calm. Maybe stand up, stretch a little, or just look outside for a moment.
That already sounds better than staying at the desk.
It is, because it gives your brain a signal that it can relax for a bit.
I used to scroll on my phone during breaks, but that didn't really help.
Same. Sometimes it makes you feel even more tired.
Yes, because your brain is still busy, just in a different way.
That's why I try to keep it quiet now. No new information, no pressure.
More like a reset.
Exactly, a small reset in the middle of the day.
And after that, does your focus come back?
Usually, yes. Not perfectly, but enough to continue.
That's all you need sometimes.
And it also changes how you describe your afternoon.
Instead of saying, I felt tired, you can say something more complete. Like, I hit that post-lunch fog, but I took a much-needed break and felt better after. That sounds natural and relatable.
And it shows awareness. You noticed how you felt and did something about it.
Which makes your story more interesting.
And more human.
Because everyone has that afternoon moment.
They do. It's just that not everyone knows how to describe it.
And once you can describe it, your English starts to feel more alive.
And once your English starts to feel more alive, the way you talk about your evening changes too.
That's a good point, because the evening isn't just the end of the day, it's more like the result of everything that came before. Yes, and for me, the biggest question in the evening is simple. Can I switch off, or am I still carrying the day with me?
That difference is huge. Some evenings feel light, and others feel like the day is still sitting on your shoulders.
Exactly. There are days when I close my laptop, step away from work, and within minutes I feel lighter.
Like your mind finally lets go.
Yes, I might go for a short walk, listen to music, or just sit quietly, and slowly I feel more at ease.
That phrase is perfect here. At ease means calm, settled, not tense anymore.
And it's such a nice feeling after a long day. Nothing exciting, just peaceful.
But not every evening is like that.
Not at all. Some evenings my body leaves work, but my mind stays there.
That's very real. You're home, but mentally you're still working.
I start replaying conversations, thinking about things I didn't finish, remembering small mistakes. And it's hard to relax in that state. Very hard. Because even if everything around you is quiet, your mind is still active. And if that continues, it affects your night too. Yes, because then I go to bed and my brain starts again. Back to tossing and turning. Exactly. So I've realized that the evening is not just about resting, it's about closing the day properly.
That's an interesting way to put it, closing the day.
It means giving yourself a clear ending so your mind doesn't keep holding on to things.
So what helps you do that?
Small habits, nothing complicated. Changing into comfortable clothes, eating without distractions, maybe tidying one small area.
A simple reset.
Yes, something that tells my brain, work is done now.
I like that. It creates a clear line between work time and personal time.
And sometimes I just sit for a few minutes and do nothing. That sounds easy, but it's actually difficult. It is. Doing nothing on purpose takes practice.
But it helps you slow down.
It does. And when I do that, I feel more at ease much faster.
That's a strong result from something very simple.
And it changes how I think about the whole day. How so? I used to judge my day as good or bad. Now I look at it differently.
In what way?
I ask myself, did I handle it well? Not, was it perfect?
That's a healthier way to see it.
And sometimes the best thing I can do in the evening is just stop resisting everything that happened.
Stop resisting. That's powerful.
Yes, instead of replaying problems or wishing things went differently, I just let the day be what it was.
So you stop fighting the day.
Exactly. And when I do that, I feel calmer.
That makes a big difference going into the night.
It really does. And it also gives you a much better way to describe your day in English.
Instead of a simple summary, you share the feeling and how you handled it.
Yes, something like, to be honest, the day was a bit heavy, but I gave myself time to slow down in the evening, and now I feel more at ease.
That sounds natural, thoughtful, and complete.
And it's still simple.
That's the key. You don't need big words.
You just need one real feeling, one small moment, and one way you responded to it.
And suddenly, your answer feels like real life instead of a short report.
And once you start thinking like that, it becomes much easier to begin your answer too.
That's true, because sometimes the hardest part is not what to say, it's how to start.
You have the story in your head, but you don't have the first sentence.
And without that first step, you fall back to fine again.
Which we are trying to give a break today. It deserves a holiday. So let's make this practical. We'll give you a few simple ways to start your answer when someone asks, "How was your day?"
Think of these as small openings. You choose one, and your answer can flow from there.
The first one is very common and very useful. To be honest.
This one works when you want to give a real answer, not just a polite one.
For example, instead of saying, "My day was fine," you can say, "To be honest, my morning started a bit rough." Or, "To be honest, I felt a little tired at first, but things got better later." It sounds natural because you're gently telling the listener that you're being open.
It creates a small connection right away.
The next one is funnily enough.
This one brings a bit of surprise.
Yes, you use it when something unexpected happens.
Like, funnily enough, I thought today would be stressful, but it turned out quite calm.
Or, funnily enough, the best part of my day was a short break I almost skipped.
It adds a small twist to your story.
And it makes people curious.
The third one is out of nowhere.
This one adds a bit of drama.
In a good way.
You use it when something happens suddenly. For example, out of nowhere, I got an extra task that made my day busier than I planned.
Or, out of nowhere, I received a message that completely changed my plans.
The listener immediately wants to know more. The next one is looking back on it.
This one feels more reflective.
Yes, it means you're thinking about your day after it's finished.
Like, looking back on it, I think I handled the situation better than I expected.
Or, looking back on it, I think I needed that break more than I realized.
It shows a bit of awareness and growth.
And the last one is all in all.
This is your closing line.
Yes, it helps you give your final feeling about the whole day.
For example, all in all, it was a tiring day, but I got through it.
Or, all in all, it was quiet and I feel more at ease now.
And you can feel it, right? The answers are still simple, but they sound much more natural.
Yes, and now that you've heard them in action, let's slow things down a bit and focus on the key phrases we used today.
This is our word tour. You don't need to remember everything. Just pick 1 or 2 phrases that feel useful for your real life.
Let's start with a phrase from the night part of the day. Toss and turn.
If you toss and turn, you can't sleep properly. You keep moving in bed because your mind or body won't relax.
You could say, "I tossed and turned all night, so I woke up feeling tired." Or, "Before an important day, I often toss and turn because I can't switch off." Let's repeat it. Toss and turn. Toss and turn. Now another one from the morning. Doze off. Doze off means to fall asleep lightly, often without planning to. Like when you're very tired and your eyes slowly close. For example, "I almost dozed off after my alarm because I didn't sleep well." Or, "He dozed off on the sofa after a long day." Let's say it again. Doze off. Doze off. Next, a feeling from the morning. On edge. If you're on edge, you feel tense, a bit nervous, or easily annoyed. You might say, "I felt on edge because I didn't get enough sleep." Or, "Everyone was on edge before the meeting started." Let's repeat it. On edge. On edge. Now, the opposite feeling, at ease. If you feel at ease, you feel calm, relaxed, and comfortable. For example, "After a short walk, I felt more at ease." Or, "I feel at ease when I'm in a quiet place." Let's repeat. At ease. At ease. Now let's go back to the busy part of the day. Swamped. If you're swamped, you're extremely busy and have too many things to handle. You can say, "I was swamped with messages this morning." Or, "She's swamped this week, so she can't meet." Repeat after us. Swamped. Swamped. Next, something that happens suddenly, out of nowhere. This means something happens without warning. Like, out of nowhere, my plans changed. Or, out of nowhere, it started raining. Let's repeat it. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Now a phrase for focus, knuckle down. To knuckle down means to start working seriously and give your full attention. For example, "I had to knuckle down and finish my work." Or, "After lunch, she knuckled down and completed the task."
Let's repeat it. Knuckle down. Knuckle down. And finally, a phrase for rest. Much needed break. This is a break that your body or mind really needs. You could say, I took a much needed break in the afternoon. Or, after a long week, that was a much needed break. Let's say it together. Much needed break. Much needed break. So these are your tools. Simple phrases, but very powerful when you use them in real situations. And now we'd love to hear from you. Tell us, how was your day? But try not to use just one word. Give fine a rest today. Use one of the starters or one of the phrases we practiced. For example, to be honest, I was swamped in the morning, but I took a much-needed break later. Or, all in all, it was a quiet day, and now I feel more at ease. We really enjoy reading your answers. Your small stories make this space feel real. And remember, your English doesn't need to be perfect before you share it. Start with what you have and build from there. If this episode helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who is also learning English. And here's a small challenge for you this week. The next time someone asks, "How was your day?" don't stop at fine. Add one feeling, one small moment, or one phrase from today. That's enough to turn a short answer into a real conversation. Take care of your English. And take care of yourself.